as a bride of just over 20. She was lovely, as only an Irish woman can be, having that in her bearing that betokened quiet pride, having that in her eyes that betokened great longing, having that in her body that betokened happy promise, the archetype of the very perfect woman, whom creating God has found good. Sir Philip had met her away in County Clare, Anna Malloy, the slim virgin thing, all chastity, and his weariness had flown to her bosom, as a spent bird will fly to its nest, as indeed such a bird had once flown to her, she told him, taking refuge from the perils of a storm. Sir Philip was a tall man and exceedingly well-favoured, but his charm lay less in feature than in a certain wide expression, a tolerant expression that might almost be called noble, and in something sad yet gallant in his deep-set hazel eyes. His chin, which was firm, was very slightly cleft, his forehead intellectual, his hair tinged with auburn. His wide nostriled nose was indicative of temper, but his lips were well modelled and sensitive and ardent. They revealed him as a dreamer and a lover. 29 when they had married, he had sown no few wild oats, yet Anna's true instinct made her trust him completely. Her guardian had disliked him, opposing the engagement, but in the end she had had her own way. And as things turned out, her choice had been happy, for seldom had two people loved more than they did. They loved with an ardour undiminished by time. As they ripened, so their love ripened with them. Sir Philip never knew how much he longed for a son, until, some 10 years after marriage, his wife conceived a child. Then he knew that this thing meant complete fulfilment, the fulfilment for which they had both been waiting. When she told him, he could not find words for expression, and must just turn and weep on her shoulder. It never seemed to cross his mind for a moment that Anna might very well give him a daughter. He saw her only as a mother of sons, nor could her warnings disturb him. He christened the unborn infant Stephen, because he admired the pluck of that saint. He was not a religious man by instinct, being perhaps too much of a student, but he read the Bible for its fine literature, and Stephen had gripped his imagination. Thus he often discussed the future of their child. "I think I shall put Stephen down for Harrow," or "I'd rather like Stephen to finish off abroad. It widens one's outlook on life." And listening to him, Anna also grew convinced. His certainty wore down her vague misgivings, and she saw herself playing with this little Stephen, in the nursery, in the garden, in the sweet-smelling meadows. "And himself the lovely young man," she would say, thinking of the soft Irish speech of her peasants. "And himself with the light of the stars in his eyes, and the courage of a lion in his heart." When the child stirred within her, she would think it stirred strongly because of the gallant male creature she was hiding. Then her spirit grew large with a mighty new courage, because a man-child would be born. She would sit with her needlework dropped on her knees, while her eyes turned away to the long line of hills that stretched beyond the Severn Valley. From her favourite seat underneath an old cedar, she would see these Malvern hills in their beauty, and their swelling slopes seemed to hold a new meaning. They were like pregnant women, full-bosomed, courageous, great green-girdled mothers of splendid sons. Thus, through all those summer months, she sat and watched the hills, and Sir Philip would sit with her. They would sit hand in hand. And because she felt grateful, she gave much to the poor, and Sir Philip went to church, which was seldom his custom, and the vicar came to dinner, and just towards